What is up, guys? As you can guess from the gameplay, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Destiny beta. And I know it's kind of been a while since it's passed, and needless to say, it has been deeply missed in my heart. But I kind of felt like, talking about the good and the bad when I was playing the beta. And unfortunately, I personally didn't really get to play the beta as much as I wanted to. Everyone day one kind of had a difficult time downloading because everyone was downloading it. But after I downloaded, I literally no-liked it for like 24 hours. And then unfortunately, I was screwing around with my characters, and I put like weapons in the vault, and I switched out, and then I got this fatal error code Centipede. And I mean, it's a beta. I mean, the glitches and errors are supposed to happen, but it was kind of unfortunate. I got this killer error code Centipede. And I know a lot of other people did. I looked on the boards, and it pretty much meant I could not play the beta until Bungie eventually fixed it, which unfortunately took quite a while. So I pretty much only got to No Life at day one, and then I think maybe the last 2 or 3 days I finally got to play it again. And I literally no life the crap out of it once I got to play it again, because I very much enjoyed my time with the beta. So I guess I'll start off with the good in terms of the beta. In terms of the maps, this one, Venus, Shores of Time, and then Earth, which is, I don't know, Rusted Lands or something. Those were pretty good maps. Like, I felt like those two maps were very well balanced, very well designed. So I don't really have a gripe with those two maps. There are other two maps, of course, and I'll get into those in the bad section, because those were the two maps that weren't particularly good. And of course, the controls are still as tight as always. I mean, this is Bungie. They single-handedly pioneered first-person shooter controls on the consoles with the launch of Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, first-person shooters weren't even a thing. Like, no one even thought it was possible until Halo Combat Evolved. And of course, on top of this accolade, with Halo 2, they pretty much brought Xbox Live to life and single-handedly brought serious online gaming to consoles, because prior to Halo 2, there wasn't much online gaming in terms of consoles. That was more of a PC thing, online gaming. So I mean, Bungie definitely has a legendary status in terms of bringing multiplayer games and shooters. So I mean, it's definitely reflected here with Destiny. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell how great or the scope of it is, but I have, needless to say, due to their track record, quite a bit of faith with them. So I mean, in terms of developing Bungie, I have nothing but love and respect for them. But there were some bads with it, I guess. I mean, this isn't really bad. I'll start off by saying that the alpha and the beta weren't all that much different. I mean, you got pretty much the same like story missions. I mean, you got one different one, and then we got the temporary event, the moon one. It was all the same, like single player, and the maps were pretty much the same, except they added 2 more. And unfortunately, they decided to keep the map moon in rotation, which it's just not an enjoyable map due to the fact that it's actually not a bad designed map. It's just the Interceptor pretty much ruined it. But I mean, thankfully they have already commented saying that they adjusted the Interceptor in the final product. So I mean, thank God for that. Which is unfortunate, because the moon was not actually a bad map, and they pretty much addressed the issue already perfectly. I mean, this is what a beta's for. So they already stated that there's going to be like 1 Interceptor, and everyone will have to fight 4, and there'll be like 2 pikes on each side and 1 pike in the middle. Like, luckily this beta has definitely proved fruitful, even if it was just one piece of information. So I mean, hopefully more improvements will be made, because another bad map was, unfortunately, there was only 4 maps in the beta, and unfortunately half of them were bad. And outside of Moon not being particularly enjoyable due to the vehicles, Mars was just a bad map due to like design. Like, it was just a poorly designed map. And I talked to some people about how Bungie makes some of the maps. I mean, any multiplayer game, there's going to be good maps and there's going to be bad, and we can only just hope that most of the maps are good. But unfortunately in the beta, half of the maps were bad, but we only had 4 maps. So we'll have to wait and see with the final product to see how good the maps are. Hopefully there's plenty of good maps, and they outnumber the bad ones. But like I said, in the beta, half of the maps were great, like Venus and Earth, and half of them were just, I didn't even want to play with them. And unfortunately there was no voting system, which I know it's kind of been a toss-up of if we should have it or not, because at that point some people are making the argument, oh, we'll never get to play X or Y map. I mean, personally, I think a voting system would be great, because I mean, if nobody wants to play X or Y map, I mean, it's a reason, because it's bad maps. But I mean, it's Bungie's game, they'll do what they want. But like I said, hopefully we don't need a voting system, because hopefully most of the maps are just good. But like I said, that's kind of a bad thing about the beta. Half of the maps were kind of like, I didn't want to play in person. Another problem, like I said, was the vehicles, but they already addressed it with the Interceptor being nerfed in the final product. So something definitely good came out of the beta right off the bat. Another prevalent issue that I'm sure a lot of people noticed, and if you were on the Destiny forums you noticed, was the fact that people definitely complained about how auto rifles pretty much dominated like the Crucible or the competitive multiplayer. It's simply put the fact that they were the easiest to use, they had a great deal of damage, and the other weapons just weren't as good. I mean, the semi-auto rifles, like the single shots, they were pretty good. Like, I did pretty good work, but as soon as I got like one of the more like rare or green fully auto rifles, I pretty much stuck with it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use the other one. This is the Sidonia. I didn't get to use the Shingen or whatever, but that and the Sidonia were pretty much what everyone was using. And I mean, like I said, I did great with the single shot of the scout rifle as well, but I have no idea how Bungie thought that a burst rifle or the pulse rifles would have more recoil than a fully automatic weapon. I mean, that just didn't make sense to me in the beta. Like, how was that possible? And that was another reason why people didn't use it. It was a burst, which burst weapons take obviously more skill than a fully automatic weapon. And it had more recoil, it took more skill, and it was less reliable. Like, there was nothing going for the pulse rifle. And on top of that, we should talk about another weapon that didn't really have much going for it, which was the hand cannons. I mean, they did like a lot of damage, but unfortunately their small magazine clip and a really slow reload time just didn't make them very viable in the Crucible. Like, yeah, they'll kill people pretty quickly if you use them, but unfortunately, if there's two or more people, like if there's two people on like a flag, you're not gonna get them with the hand cannon, even if they're using a pulse rifle or a scout or obviously a fully automatic. You're just gonna get wrecked. It's just not practical. Like, the hand cannons just weren't practical. And like I said, it's kind of early to judge because this is just a beta, but hopefully in the full game the pulse rifles are more versatile. I don't really have much faith that the hand cannons will be. I mean, it would be nice if they were monstrous, but at the same time, if they were really crazy good, I mean, maybe that's the only thing that people might be using. But I don't have much faith that the hand cannons will be much better in the competitive, aspect of Destiny. But we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, I just want the pulse rifles, the burst rifles, to be a little bit better because I always had, an enjoyment with, burst weapons and semi-autos. I'm not really a fan of, the fully automatic just because they tend to be, I don't know, kind of easy to use, kind of spray prey. Whereas, like, you have to aim a burst rifle or a semi-automatic. And like I said, I really enjoyed the semi-auto just because they did great damage. But, I mean, the fully auto just pretty much dominated the scene. Like, everyone was pretty much using a fully automatic weapon in the Crucible. And, of course, another issue that I kind of had, and I know other people talked about, were the hitboxes. And it's not that they're bad, it's just that they felt so generous. Like, getting a headshot was so easy, like, to the point where snipers really weren't that difficult to use. And I was pretty much getting headshots with my fully automatic, like, all the time, even with the scout rifles. Like, it was kind of a joke how easy headshots were. I'm not sure if they were bigger or whatever, or if Bungie will adjust them in the final game. But I think they should, just because it was so effortless to get a headshots. Like, it was kind of sad, I mean, to be honest. And I know other people complain about the hitboxes too. And of course there's other factors that go into it, like lag and such, but in general I feel like hitbox, in terms of the hitbox in the head of the Guardians or whatever, they were too generous. It was far too easy to get hit shots. And of course another thing I kind of want to complain about, which like I said, it's kind of hard to tell because this is a beta and we're just testing and screwing things around, but I felt like the Hunter was just a vastly superior, much more effective class in the Crucible than all the other classes. I mean, the Warlock did fine, but the thing that really killed the Warlock was his mobility. The glide in the air was just awful. Like, it was the worst one out of the bunch. Like, it was terrible. And his super is great. Like, his super is pretty great. I mean, it's not as versatile as the Hunter's, but I mean, it was pretty good. Like, the Nova Bomb was pretty good super, but his just glide ability was just so bad in comparison to even the Titans, like Double Jumper, the Hunters. Like, I think a lot of people like the Hunter because the Golden Gun had such versatility. Like, yeah, it didn't make you invincible, but you could very easily chain 3 kills together, and he had like a very smooth, elegant double jump. Like, he just felt better, and his super was more versatile than the other two. And the Titan wasn't that bad either. And the main reason I didn't like the Titan was his subclass in the particular beta, which was, I don't know, Fist of Havoc or whatever. It really only worked at close range. Like, we'll just have to wait and see what the other subclasses do, so maybe the other ones will be more viable in the Crucible. But in terms of the beta, the Hunter was the most viable and popular class in the Crucible. And like I said, the Titan wasn't that bad either. It's just the whole fact that you had to be really close for the Fist of Havoc to even work kind of limited its ability, whereas the Golden Gun, I can use it at close range, I can snipe people across the map. It was just easily the best super you could use in the beta, and I think that's why everyone was pretty much running the Hunter after a while. But I mean, overall, my impressions of the beta were pretty positive. I mean, I already kind of was sold with Destiny just because of Bungie. Like, to me, they're kind of like Rockstar. Like, I don't even need to know. Like, I know they're gonna create something great. And I saw this, and I was like, yep, this is definitely a game up my alley. And needless to say, I'm pretty excited about the game. I mean, like I said, I didn't get to play the beta as much as I wanted to, but if I did, I would have been on it like all of the time. But like I said, I kind of got screwed by the little glitch. But like I said, overall my impressions are very positive. It wasn't perfect, it was a beta, there were glitches and there were some imbalances. And I am a little bit worried because there's going to be a lot of factors in the final game in terms of competitive. There's going to be way more guns, there's going to be way more like, you know, armor pieces and stuff that'll affect the game. I mean, I'm very curious to see how Bungie balances it out competitive multiplayer wise. In terms of single player, I don't really worry that much. I might make a separate video talking about it, but in terms of single player, I'm not too worried. I'm sure it'll just be a great, enjoyable co-op experience, kind of like Borderlands. But in terms of competitive multiplayer, I am a little bit worried. But overall, I came away for the beta very, more or less pleased. Like it was very fun. At the very least, even if it's not competitive, it was a very fun time. I mean, a lot of people are talking about, oh, this is going to be competitive because, you know, Halo was a very competitive game. And unfortunately, we just found out that in the full launch of the game, there's not going to be private matches, which is a whole issue on it itself. I mean, a lot of people are talking about, oh, we don't need it, and some people are a little disappointed, but I am personally a little disappointed about the fact there won't be private matches. But I don't know, hopefully they patch it in later, because I mean, without private matches or custom games, I mean, what's really the point of this clan system? Like, what, to show that I'm part of a group or whatever? Like, it is very strange that we have a clan system, and we'll have no real way of competing with other clans in Destiny, which is a little bit strange. But like I said, even if all of this kind of comes to fruition, there are no private matches and clans kind of seem pointless, even given all that, it was still a very fun beta. Like, I had a blast playing the beta when I could, and I'm sure when the full game comes out, I'm gonna have a blast. But I'm curious as to what you guys think. Did you guys, you know, have fun with the beta? Did you guys get a chance to play it? Leave your thoughts and comments below on what you guys thought of the beta and your impressions. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Well done. I could have used your talents in the field.